Yeah, with us at the end. All right. So I had some French questions. So if this is recording, I just wanted to say thanks to Dave for running the March Madness thing. I really didn't track it very much. Did you even participate?
I put in a bracket, but I put it under the real Trevor Shady, and maybe I didn't, because I didn't put my real name on it. I didn't get to make the, but I may have won my own prize in the end, so I'm not too worried about not being included.
Is this your prize? You're saying you won the right to participate in this right now?
Based on how I think my bracket went, yeah, that's what happened.
Okay. Yeah, I purposely wanted to not win. Also, it's a lot of stress to win that, especially when someone's like, if this is a hockey pool, they'd be like, oh, Trevor's gonna know hockey. Sorry, Trevor. Travis is gonna know hockey, and it's like, oh, you have to win that pool. So like, oh, Kyle knows basketball, he's gotta win that pool. It's all luck and like, it has nothing to do with basketball knowledge whatsoever.
And I started enjoying hockey specifically. I used to play in like a bunch of fantasy leagues all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed hockey more once I stopped. It's just more fun to just like watch the sport, cheer for individual players, cheer for storylines, cheer for your team, and not be that invested in it. So as soon as I stopped playing fantasy hockey, I was much happier with my life.
Nice. Yeah, I did fantasy basketball for a little bit, and even baseball for a while too. I don't know why. Then I stopped all that because I didn't have time.
Yeah,
but I didn't really enjoy it. So, all right. Well, I'll go through these questions because I'm sure you got stuff to do today, and I got stuff to do today.
So much stuff to do today.
Well,
I got a wall of paint.
I got stuff to do today. So I got like 32 questions here, no particular order. Just French related things that I've wondered and curious about that are just French related. So,
question for the answers.
Oh, well, if you don't, that's fine. Number one, very important. Number one, how do you make French fries?
You take Irish potatoes and put them into American oil, and that makes them French.
Good answer. Number two, do you smoke?
Back to the French fries. I actually think they're Belgian. They're not even French. I don't know why they call them French. Do I smoke?
Yeah.
No.
A lot of people smoke.
But it's more common in Quebec. But when I went to France, it was every single person. And even like when we were there, as my mother and I, we don't smoke. And they would still bring you an ashtray. Be like, oh, we don't smoke. And they're like, okay, well, we're still going to leave it there just in case you change your mind. Part of it's the smokes, like the cigarettes that they have. They've got less of a filter because the toxins in them are lesser. There's different restrictions as far as health guidelines.
So they think it's better for them. They're like, oh, these are healthy cigarettes.
Yeah, it's a healthier version of the cigarette, but it's so cultural. It's such a French thing. It's a superiority thing. It's you don't smoke, then you're not French. So it's a status thing. Rich people in the 1800s and 1700s smoked, and so when there was a class movement, if you were lower class, you had to smoke to match the higher class, to look like you were higher class. It's just so ingrained in the culture that that's all they do. And they start.
It's still prevalent. It's still like, yeah, kids smoke, adults smoke, everyone smokes.
Yeah, if you're under the age of like, I'd say 40 and don't smoke, you're freaking weirdo.
Mm-hmm. But that's just in France. That's not in Quebec.
No, in Quebec it's more. In Quebec, so yeah, in France it's more common. In Quebec, less common, but still really popular among that kind of like 18 to 30. But it has a lot of it has to do with the fact that our cigarettes cause cancer more frequently, and there's been a huge effort from the Canadian government for health as far as that goes. So there's a bit of a different cultural aspect to it.
Gotcha.
Okay. Good question.
My question was just, do you smoke? But thank you for the historical.
Oh no, I'm gonna ramble. I haven't spoken to people in a week.
That's okay. Number three, can you say chowder?
Chowder?
Chowder. Got it. Number four, kind of relates back to number two. Why do the French think they are superior?
French Revolution. They took down the higher ruling class. Therefore, if there is no ruling class, you are the ruling class. Therefore, we are better than you.
And that's the entire world. I think that everyone, because of the French Revolution, so therefore every other country.
It's an incredibly quickly summarized version of events, but yeah, there's just part of the French appeal that they took out the royalty, they took down the kings and queens, they took down the bourgeoisie and stuff like that. That hey, we are as good as it gets. We are the pinnacle of people.
Gotcha.
It's very arrogant. It's a lot of fun.
But again, that's only in France, right? Not in Quebec.
In
Quebec people don't think they're better than us?
Nah. In Quebec, it's because their hockey team won a bunch of times. Don't tell Whitney I said that.
Oh, this is recording, by the way.
I can clip that out. It's fine.
Okay.
Just do it
Number 5. Why does France dislike Quebec?
Because Quebec dislikes France.
It's mutual hatred.
Yeah, it was who hated who first, and it was when France pulled out of heavily trying to control North America, War of 1812 and stuff like that, and kind of decided to kind of let Quebec live their own life. Quebec's like, well, screw you, you don't represent us in the first place. And Quebec was already struggling with trying to find a place in Canada. So Quebec was like, okay, we don't need you. We're going to deal with our own stuff. And then by the end of it, it's just, they're the cousins that see each other once every year or so at Christmas family dinner and don't have anything in common anymore.
Gotcha. Except the language. Which I'm sure the language in Quebec versus the language or the dialect or something that in France is probably slightly different.
Yeah, it's just like you or I talking to someone from Australia or from Newfoundland or like South Carolina. Different dialects, right?
Gotcha. Okay. Number 6. Would you like the Montreal Canadiens more or less if they were the Montreal Frenchies?
More. Absolutely more.
More? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that comes from, again, Quebec potentially not wanting to be Canadian. And I was like, oh, what if we just called them the Montreal Frenchies? I couldn't think of anything better, so that's what I went with.
I think the newspaper headlines of the Frenchies take one over the Maple Leafs and the Frenchies win the Stanley Cup. I'm on board. Let's do it.
All right. Number 7. Are there any French games that do not exist in English? If so, is it a language thing or is it a we don't want the English to have it thing? So any French games that don't exist in English?
Like Red Rover type stuff?
Things like that. Any games that don't exist, like they have like your own special, like, oh, these are French games that like no one has or no one plays or no one.
No, if you're thinking childhood games, they all exist in one form or another. They're just different names and maybe twists on rules. Different sports are more popular in Quebec or in France. Like Quebec, chouk ball is like commonly played in phys ed classes and like recreationally, and it's so much fun. I've seen it played like 3 or 4 times in Ontario, maybe.
And what is chouk ball?
So there's a little trampoline mat about like 2.5 foot square, and it's set at a 45-degree angle, and there's one at either end, and you have to bounce the ball off of that and get it to touch the ground, and that's a point. But the other team will try and catch the ball and then make sure you don't get that point, and you don't have one end is not yours. You can score on either one. You have to defend both, and then it's mixed with like that European handball idea of throwing the ball up and down the court to try and get a point and stuff like that. It's a ton of fun.
Is there any violence involved? Is there any contact?
Depends what kind of friends you have.
That's true. Okay. Number 8. What are all the names of the different hieroglyphics that are used in the French language?
The hieroglyphics?
Yeah, that's what I'm calling them.
Accent grave, accent aigu, circumflex, those ones?
Yeah. Are there any other ones that are unknown that have cool names or that are not the common ones?
What's that one where it's like is it the A? is it AE or AO, where like where you type it up and then they like put the two letters together.
I didn't know that was French.
That one pops up sometimes. I don't remember what it's called. It's funny because even when I'm teaching the accents, I write the verb préférer on the board because it has both the E accents. And it's préfère, and it gives you the two different sounds the E makes. And my students still probably couldn't tell you what the accent is, but they can use the right one.
Well, that's good.
No, there's no fancy accents. No umlaut or anything like that.
All right. Follow-up question number 9. How do you put a circumflex into sign language? So if you're doing regular sign language, how do you do French sign language? You're like, oh, like you do a circumflex. Like, does that exist?
I would not know. I'm just going to assume that. Well, it's all signals.
I can imagine they would get pretty upset in their sign language if you're like, oh, this is French sign language, and you're not doing the correct conjugations and.
No, I'm sure you can just get away with it because it's all symbol based. So I don't think you need the accents because the accents are for written to sound. There's no sound when you're doing sign language, right? So
you can still hear it.
You can still hear it.
Gotcha. Okay, number 10. Are there any French superheroes? If so, who are they? What are their powers, and why has no one ever heard of them before?
I don't know. I don't know about superhero stuff. So I'll give you the almost answer, but there's a guy called Arsène Lupin, which on Netflix, if you go and look up Lupin, it's Lupin, and it's this TV show where this guy's inspired by this book, and it was quite literally when Sherlock Holmes came out. It was first being written by Doyle, Arthur Conan Doyle. The French newspaper pulled a guy aside and said, write Sherlock Holmes, but for French people. And it became like one of the most influential early 1900s French literature works, just because they made their own Sherlock Holmes. You get to decide if Sherlock Holmes counts as superhero or not. I don't know anything about like French Marvel. I don't know.
Well, I'm saying anything like French, like there could be comic characters or anything. I just haven't seen any of them. And I mean, there are like Canadian ones. There's African superheroes. There's different countries, but like I don't think I've ever heard of a French one. But there might be.
You got me wanting to know now.
Good.
Marvel database for French superheroes.
No, he might just reside in France. Like you could say, like Wolverine's a Canadian superhero. He's really not. I mean, he was, Vancouver based, but like, yeah, that's loosely tied. Anyways,
there's a guy called Flambe. All right. Well, this is what I'm doing with my afternoon is going through this list of French superheroes. Levant, there's a guy called the Wind. There's some real awful superheroes here. Electric.
Oh, there is. Don't worry. I've looked up all the bad superheroes and even comic book heroes. I have a list ongoing.
They're all alphabetically like listed, and there's like 27 guys whose first name is Jacques.
That sounds about right. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Number 11. Can you list all the things that you do better than other people besides speak the French language? Because obviously speaking the French language is something you do better than everyone else. So being that you're French, I assume that you have a whole list going.
Yeah, that's what the people who speak French do in their spare time. How am I superior to everyone else?
Well, you already mentioned the French Revolution stuff. I'm like, okay, that's right at the.
What else do I do better than other people? I'm an exceptional researcher, and that's all I got.
Okay, that's a start. Number 12. What is one curse word that does not translate well from English to French or vice versa?
All of them.
All of them don't translate well?
Yeah, so like where we use, the F-bomb in multiple uses, and I think it was George Carlin who had the piece on the F word and all the wonderful ways it can be used.
Mm-hmm.
Where if we just use it as an exclamation, you stub your toe, you drop the F-bomb. In French, you would say tabarnak. But tabarnak doesn't have a verb usage of it. And it doesn't have a like an adjective version of it. It's just an exclamation.
Gotcha.
Whereas merde, that's referring to poo, that's just used the exact same way. So some have a very clear connection, merde to shit, but tabernacle, not so much.
Okay.
There's a whole list of them too, and some of them, they're all church based.
Good. All right. Number 13. Why do people dislike the French so much?
Because you just because people don't like things.
They don't like things. Right?
It goes back to the
French is hard for you to answer.
It goes back to the Quebec thing. Who hated who first? Did the English hate the French or the French hate the English? I don't know, but a couple hundred years later, we're here and everybody hates each other.
Okay. So turning that on its side there, number 14. Why could I dislike the French so much? It's more of a self-reflection piece for you. So why could I hate them?
Wait, like, why would I hate them?
You know, me, like why? Give me reasons why I would hate them.
Oh, I don't think you would hate. Like, oh, do you want a list of like why you should hate them, or?
Yeah, basically.
Like, well, like they get the smoke and they don't get lung cancer. Like it's kind of bullcrap. I don't know. You get the
superior specimens. I should be upset about that. Okay.
Yeah, and just like I don't know, just the. I think people dislike French and French culture because it is a unique culture unto itself. You know when things are French, you're like, oh, that's a French thing. But we in North America don't have a North American, Canadian, or American things because we are this incredible melting pot of random cultures all put together. And if you want a thing that is Canadian, we can try and say that hockey is Canadian, but you know, it's not anymore. Or we'll say beaver pelts are Canadian, but no one uses beaver pelts anymore. Like maybe a couple thousand people in our entire country. So if you want a reason to hate the French, it's the fact that they know who they are and we're still trying to figure it out.
All right, let's go with that. Number 15, do you consider yourself English or French?
English.
All right.
I am a French second language learner. My first name is Travis, despite what my email sign in the math office says. And even then, Trevor is still an English name.
Dude, I'm sure we can throw an accente on one of the E's or something like that.
Put a circumflex on the V, because it makes no sense at all.
Yeah. What's the one that goes like this? We put that in the C.
Yeah, CD. Yeah.
Put that on somewhere. Okay. Number 16. What animals do French people dislike?
All right.
Do they like hate cats or dogs or like anything like that?
Not that I know of.
Okay, then number 17. Do they like any animals or any people?
There used to be a thing about lions, but I think that went with the royalty. I don't know.
You know,
I don't know culturally.
So do they like any animals or people?
Any people they don't like?
People. Also, do they like any animals or people?
No, I don't think they like anything.
Okay. Number 18, getting to politics here. If Quebec ever became their own country, would they change their name to something less English sounding? If so, what is a super French sounding name that they would turn it into?
No, they would leave it as Quebec, but they would very much insist on the Quebecois pronunciation of Quebec. And they probably wouldn't change it because it's who they are. They'd probably do something like where Canada is technically the Dominion of Canada. They would probably do something like La République de Québec or something like that. But
Quebec, DC.
Absolutely, that'd be perfect.
And then kind of a sub from that, do you think Celine Dion would be on their money? Would she be like the $10 bill or something like that?
No, not the 10. She'd be something much more valuable. If they'd bring out $1,000 bill and put like her and Rock Voisin like either side of the bill.
Yeah, and it'd be super glittery and stuff like that too. Yeah.
Yeah, they go to pull out your pocket and like the glitter would fall out your pocket and stuff like. It'd be awful.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good answer. Um, Number 19. Do you have family back in the motherland?
No,
No.
man, I'm Welsh.
Number 20, because I could have said before, is Quebec a colony of France?
Nope. They that was one of the first times I ever had an idea in like I remember it clearly. Brian Thorne's Canadian history class, I came up with the idea for a comment about how Quebec and France were like acting the same, and then the one guy, Taylor, just turns to me and goes, "They have nothing to do with each other. That's completely wrong." I'm like, that was the bus just running me over. No, well up to about 1812. At that point, they got nothing to do with each other really.
Okay. Number 21. Do you drive a French vehicle? If not, what is your dream French vehicle?
No, I do not drive a French vehicle.
And is there a dream French vehicle? Like, oh, and the English have like their little Mini Coopers and stuff like that. And
So that's where I'm a really bad French teacher because my dream vehicle is the Mini Cooper. And it's just because The Italian Job is a great movie.
For a while there, actually, I wanted to buy one for that reason too. I'm like, oh, it's so small and compact. It probably does well in gas, and it's so cool. And yeah, I want to be like Mark Wahlberg.
There's one for sale down the street from me. And my wife's like, "You can go look at it if you want." I'm like, "No, I can't because if I go look at it, I'm gonna find a way to buy it." Yep. French vehicle. I was looking at this. There's a French auto manufacturer, and they're kind of like the big company, and they branch off and own all the little companies, but like little as in like Mazda and stuff like that. There is a French automaker who owns like 30% of the vehicles worldwide.
Hmm.
I can't remember what they were. It'll come to me, but not one that I can think of. But the fascination and obsession with vehicles is a very North American ideal. In Europe, you only have a car if you need it. And I've got friends who are my age or older. One guy is like 35. He's a mountaineer in the Alps. He just bounces between the French and the Swiss side of it. He's never owned a vehicle, and it's never become a problem in his life. Because they have real public transit as opposed to whatever we have over here.
Yeah, we got nothing. Yeah. Okay. Number 20. What is the best French cuisine?
Best crepes.
Okay.
It's not even close.
Then what is number 23? What's the worst French cuisine?
Escargot. I cannot get on board with it. I just can't. When I went to France, the whole point was to just try everything that we could when we were there. And we tried the escargot, could not stomach it down.
Was it like the North American version over here where it's covered in oil and cheese and all the other stuff too? Or is it just like, nope, here is a snail and go to town?
It's still moving. No, it was like it was crispier. But it wasn't deep fried or anything like fried or anything like that. I just did not enjoy it. I don't think it's the texture. It was the thought of this is a snail. I don't want to eat this. But the other for the best, I also give them anything that's in a bakery in France. It's on a different level. It's just so good.
All right. Number 24. Are you offended when people do le French accent?
No, it's hilarious.
Okay, good.
I will never critique anyone if they're trying. I will never critique anyone's accent. And if they're making fun of it, that's actually usually worse because if they're trying to mock the French accent, it's closer to correct than if they were trying to speak French.
Good to know. Number 25. What famous person do you think you most resemble? They don't have to be French or not.
Famous Peter Griffin. I know who I look like. That's why I started the beard.
All right. I don't think you have the same chin though.
No, not quite.
Number 26. Have you ever ordered Chinese food while speaking French?
I hate Chinese food.
Okay. Have you ever ordered Mexican food while speaking French?
Have
you ever ordered anything speaking French that is not North American food? Like, if you ever try to go to an ethnic restaurant and you're speaking French the whole time, and they're like, "Well, this is a Cantonese restaurant," and you're speaking French.
I went to an Italian restaurant in Quebec. So it's not hard stuff to order. It's les pâtes and just pasta and bread and carbs. So French and Italian restaurant, it went okay.
Okay, gotcha. Number 27. Does your wife speak French?
No. She barely speaks English. Nope. I have tried to like teach her French things. I have tried to like work it into conversations. Nothing. It's not sticking. So.
Follow-up question, number 28, or sorry, 29. Oh, sorry, 28. Do you speak French to your cat?
Another animal that doesn't quite speak English. No, I do not speak in French to my cat.
Okay.
I should start though.
Yeah. You could say lots of nasty things towards it.
She's just going to ignore me anyway. It doesn't matter what language.
That's what cats do, yeah. Number 29. Do you enjoy French toast?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
French toast over pancakes any day.
Okay. Number 30. Is the word friendship a real word? And if not, what should it mean? Friendship. Friendship.
One word?
Is it a real word? Yeah, one word. Friendship. Like friendship, but it's friendship. Is it a real word? If not, what should it mean?
Not a real word. I think it should be an active verb. So they were friendshipped to the bottom of the ocean. Just assuming that's where all French ships end up at one point or another in history.
Okay. Number 31. Can you translate the words of the song Frère Jacques? What does that song mean?
I don't even know. I don't do French songs. Raffy. Yep, let's do it. All right. Let's see. It's about Frère Jacques, this guy sleeping. Frère.
Brother Jack.
Yeah, but it's not brother. It's like the monk, the pastor, the guy who works at the church or is the church type guy. Yeah, Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous. So it's like, are you sleeping? And he's snoring. Yeah. And ding dang dong doesn't translate. It's just that'll be the sound of the actual steeple itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, are you sleeping?
Okay.
A bunch of times over and over.
Gotcha. And the last question I had on the list here, number 32. There are English, Korean, and Japanese boy bands. Are there any French boy bands?
I don't know any boy bands. I'm sure there are. I know lots of artists. I know lots of duos and groups. But none that I can think of, and none that I would listen to. That's the issue there, is I wouldn't have listened to them yet. I'm trying to look
Korean and Japanese ones. They're big in the world right now, like those boy bands, right? And you had British ones, you had English ones. There's no French boy bands.
K-pop is on its own different level. As far as popularity worldwide, the boy bands in the States, music's a lot bigger there. But I don't know of any French ones.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. I'm wondering why there's none. If it's so superior, I'm sure they come up with a great boy band.
French boy bands. Current French boy bands you need to discover. All right, this should be awful.
I'll just fill up your cookies on your internet browser there with some great stuff.
Right? My Facebook ads even be ridiculous. These are some weird looking people. These are all weirdos. That's me being nice about it. A lot of them are older.
Older boy bands, that's good. That's probably going to be a hit soon, I'm sure.
Right? No, even still, like, as I'm looking through it, it keeps saying duo, indie pop band.
Something to think about, right?
Might be something here.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's not in terms of like, like Italian boy bands like Il Divo. I mean, they're singers, Il Divo and stuff like that. Like those great groups that sing in different languages. Some of them have languages that would translate well in terms of audio appeal. I'm sure German boy bands, that's not gonna sound very good.
No.
But your French, you could make a play for that, saying, yeah, the French language, sung by like, 15, 16, 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
Appeal.
And a lot of the a lot of stuff with the French music too is that they cross over with English people a lot. So there's a lot of songs that are like both languages, but they've also the most popular music in France is influenced from other parts. It's Congo, it's Lebanon, it's Belgian. So French has I don't know, a lot more diverse music. But boy bands, not anything I would listen to. So I'll have to do some research.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea. I know. I'm just saying if there was any.
All right. What's next?
No, that's it. That's all the questions I had. I'm even going to stop the recording there because I've been recording this whole time.
Yeah.
And I'll just say thanks and stop recording right there. Stop recording.